Alright, let's look at this lesson here. It's called Finding the Perimeter. Oh, the perimeter! What we're going to do is we're going to start at any point and we look at the distance around the figure. We look at the distance around the figure. So if I started right here, and it says at any point, meaning this is the vertex of this triangle, and I go around, I see that this side right here is 10. And I'm going to continue going around this figure. It's the distance around a figure, and it's 8 more. And then I come back down again till I get back to that same point. It's 8 more again. Now the way that we show that mathematically is 10 plus 8 plus 8, where again I took that distance around the figure. 10 added together to the 8 and added together to the other 8 here. And I took each of those sides and each of those side lengths. 10 plus 8 is 16, and 16 plus 8 is 24. Now the other thing that I have to remember to do when I am figuring out the perimeter, or the distance around the figure, is I need to make sure to label. You see right here that the label is cm, so I'm going to go ahead and label mine cm as well, and cm stands for centimeters. So the perimeter, or the distance around the figure, is 24 centimeters. The thing when you are figuring out perimeter, you must show that work for me, so I know that you understand how to use that formula for perimeter. Here's another example. I have now a rectangle, because this here is 6 centimeters, this here is 10 centimeters. Now with this example, you'll notice, and this is a very common mistake for students to make, is that they do not label all the sides before they begin adding together to get this perimeter. They just take and they're, oh, well, I see a 6 and I see a 10, and they add those together and think they're done. What you need to do before you start adding any numbers together is you need to label any unlabeled sides. So in this case, since this side is 10 centimeters, the opposite side length is also 10 centimeters. And since this side is 6 centimeters, the opposite side length is also 6 centimeters. Now, and remember, it's the distance around the figure, 10, 6, 10, 6, and what am I going to do with all of those numbers? You're right, I'm going to go ahead and add all of those numbers together. The other thing that I like to do when I'm figuring out perimeter, so I know that it's perimeter, is I will label it a P there, and let's get into the habit of that as well. The last thing that I do after I have my number here is I must label it. In this case, I'm going to label it cm, standing for centimeters again, because that's the distance around. 6 and 10 more centimeters is 16 centimeters, 6 more is 22 centimeters, and 10 more is 32 centimeters. One of the things to do to check as you're continuing to practice this and continue to do your work is to look at the number of sides. I know that this rectangle has 4 sides, so there should be 4 numbers that I'm adding together. And like I said before, I like to start at one point and go around to make sure that I'm adding each and every single side, and I'm going that distance around the figure. This here says this is a regular octagon with sides of 4 centimeters each. That means each and every single side is 4 centimeters. And 4 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and label each and every single one of those sides. After I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add each of those side lengths together. I will go around the figure, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and 4. I think I said 4 8 times, but if I write it on out, this is what it'll look like. I forgot to put a P in front of that. I'll make sure of my addends and the number of my addends as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops! Need another addend. Because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 sides. I know it's an octagon. That's an 8-sided closed figure. 4 plus 4 is 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. 4 plus 4 is still 8. And 4 plus 4 is still 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. So now I'm left with 16 plus 16, which is just 32. And the last thing that I need to do is I need to label it. I label it 32 what? Centimeters. And so I figured out the perimeter, or the distance around a figure. In this case, the octagon. Your label is not always going to be centimeters. In this case, this label is meters. And then so I'm going to put a U try here. When you try this, I want you to draw out the figure. So draw out a square, label the two sides that are labeled, and take your steps you need to do to go ahead and figure out your perimeter. Make sure you put the label after the number when you have your answer. Go ahead and hit pause. Alright, first thing that you would need to do is to label all of those unlabeled sides. If you did so, great. If you didn't, well, please get into the habit of it. I write a P there for perimeter, standing for perimeter, equals 5. You must show your work. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. And at that point, I can go ahead and simplify that there. 5 plus 5 is 10, 5 plus 5 is 10, and 10 plus 10 is 20. P equals 20. 20 what? Did you label it correctly? Did you put an M there? Standing for meters. The distance around this figure is 20 meters. The perimeter is 20 meters. Here's your review. Again, to figure out the perimeter, we have to label each and every single side. And then so we know that the number of sides is going to be the number of addends that we have as well. And then so I will go ahead and write a 5 on each and every single one of those sides first. The next thing that I will do is I will go ahead and write a number sentence for that problem there. And then so I could write out 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. And I can go on and on and on with the number of 5s that I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 5s, or I could just go 12 times 5 equaling 60. 60 what? Centimeters. And the big important part is this label. If you don't label, you're going to lose some of that credit. Again, you must show your work as you're working with this as well. As you see now, I wrote in all those other 5s. The step to really think about as you're working, and especially when you're working with less sides than 12 of them, is to count those sides again. To really make sure that you have the correct number of addends. That you have the correct number of addends that you added together there. And of course, add correctly together to get that distance around the figure, or the perimeter. That distance around the figure. Go ahead and write that definition for yourself if you haven't done so already. Distance around a figure. And that's all you need to know about perimeter. Bye-bye.